Hey now, everybody. It's the Rob from 106.1 Kiss FM here with my tag team partner in podcasting. Please welcome to the broadcast the American Dream, Jerry Valera. Good morning, Jer.
I am the second most recognizable athlete in the world next to Muhammad Ali.
Hey, so I can kind of reveal what I was talking about if you want to, because you're obviously referencing the Bruce Pritchard podcast right there.
Absolutely. Also, by the way, I'm owed a phone call from Bruce Pritchard because I bought a T-shirt. So if at some point during the podcast he calls me, I'm hanging up on you.
If you get an unknown number calling your phone?
If I get something from Alabama, you're gone.
Don't hang up. Well, because it won't come to your studio line. It's going to call your cell phone.
But that's what I'm recording on.
Yeah, so I'm saying just pick it up.
Pick it up. I'll just pick it up and then.
Okay, right. Well, then don't hang up the studio phone. Leave the studio phone on. And
I'll put them on speaker, so then you just have to be quiet.
So while you're awaiting a phone call from Bruce Pritchard, every morning I'm awaiting a phone call, and we can talk about this because it's been on the air for about a week now. I chat with Conrad Thompson every morning on the radio for about a minute every day.
That's awesome. Have you acknowledged yet that you're a bit of a fanboy, or have you let that go?
No, we had to talk once off the air, and I told him, like, hey, just so you know, I'm kind of marking out to be talking to you. And he's like, why is that? And I was like, dude, I listen to your podcast all the time. He's like, I'm a few behind. I just listened to the Owen Hart one, and that was a few weeks ago. I'm a little further now. But I was like, I think that you guys do a great job. I think that your research and your personality make the show the best that it could be. I don't remember what I said, but we did the doots and the knows, and the goddamn pals. And
I love that you said you were marking out, and he asked why. He knows why.
Well, when you say marking out, I feel like but you don't say. I mean, it's not kosher to be like, oh, you're a big fan, So
I did what I did for a while. Like, I jumped around with episodes, but now I've decided that I'm just going back and I'm going chronologically. And that way, now I just got past the Sunny episode.
That one is so good. # she pooted.
She pooted.
You heard that, right?
Oh yeah, I'll do it. I finished it.
How amazing! Yeah. So I don't know. This isn't like. I just would love to. I don't know.
And I'm going to say this. I understand that he's a favorite, and he was just so good, and I did love him at the time. But the more I hear about the Clique, and the more I hear about Shawn Michaels, I really don't like him, like at all.
He sounds like he was a huge scumbag. From all accounts. No matter whose idea you're getting, who's like source it is, whether it's Sonny's book, whether it's Bob Holly's book, whether it's Bret Hart's book. I mean, even Shawn kind of acknowledged it at this point. It's hard not to.
I think the entire Clique kind of acknowledges it. The only one that never noticed when they're all sitting around and they're doing their table for threes or they're doing their interviews. The only one that keeps his mouth shut is Triple H, because he still has skin in the game. Like they're all just whatever. They do what they do, but he knows what he was a part of.
Yeah, but I mean, at the time, he kind of had to be a part of it, at the time. So yeah, that was that. By the way, I love that. There's another great story about at the Slammy Awards from that Sunny podcast, and Triple H makes the comment about there's only one thing that she's good at, and my best friend says she's not even that good at that. Some of the stuff Triple H got away with was amazing too.
Yeah, he got away with quite a bit, but that's because he was part of that group.
I guess so, But yeah, still, people don't have the disdain that they have for Shawn and Hunter and Kevin that they do for Hall and Waltman.
That's because Waltman was the one pooping in their bags, and Hall was out of his mind. So yeah, I understand that too, I think.
So, want to get into Raw? You want to chat about Raw?
Let's get into Raw. Before, I know you did it yesterday. I just want to say rest in peace, Bobby Heenan. I was affected by that on Sunday night. That really
Sunday, and like I guess Monday when I heard like the rest of the world talking about it, like you heard it on some national news stuff, and boy, I'll tell you, WWE's video about had me in tears last night.
It made me tear up a little bit. You know, he was the focal point of my childhood. When I think about all of the superstars and the pay-per-views and the wrestling that I watched, he was involved with just about every match. I mean, all the good bad guys were at one point or another part of the Heenan family, and that was more to his credit. I mean, he made guys important. He was the best heater ever.
That without a doubt, because with Heenan, I mean, you didn't need to have a personality. You didn't need to have a backstory. If you walked out with Bobby Heenan, you knew all you needed to know, that this was a guy I'm supposed to boo because he's friends with Bobby. And that was good enough. He was literally the best heater ever. And I'd go as far as to call him my favorite personality in all of wrestling. He was the funniest, without a doubt. He may be my favorite person, my favorite human in all of wrestling on air.
He's mine. He's got to be mine. You know, and people talk about him and Gorilla, and he and Gorilla are the best. But his interactions with Mean Gene, I thought, were just as funny. Like he would give Mean Gene the business constantly.
Last night they highlighted one of those in the video where, you know, Gene kind of goes to Bobby and I was like, aren't you going to ask me a question? And then Bobby just kind of starts steamrolling over Mean Gene. It was just so Bobby.
Yeah, there was one I played yesterday on the air where in the middle of it, Mean Gene says, "We're going to talk about wrestling," and Bobby, the Brain says, "We can talk about whatever you want to talk about. Just don't talk to me about it." And then he just goes into his thing.
He had a one-liner. He had a one-liner for everything. And what was great about Bobby was, like, with your favorite wrestler, you know, like say your favorite wrestler is Shawn Michaels, you know, you go to him once or twice a show. Like maybe he'll cut a promo earlier in a show, and then later in the show he'll wrestle in the main event, and you get like 30 minutes of screen time with your favorite. But with Bobby, he was on commentary, so you got him for 3 hours at a shot. It was amazing.
And if you look at the business and you look at the other people that you would put in the conversation, even kind of with Bobby Heenan, you know, the Cornettes and the Heymans, there's always a bad story to go with those guys. Not a lot of bad things are said about Bobby Heenan. There just aren't.
Yeah, no, everyone seemed he was resoundingly beloved. Another great point about Bobby. Oh man, I just had it and I lost it for a second. Oh, so check this out. And this is kind of a sad thing because it does seem like the later years of his life, he wasn't having a lot of joy from.
No.
And it's sad. Like, so like, for example, when Eddie Guerrero or Chris Benoit died, these were guys who I feel like had a lot of good years left in them. Bobby Heenan, you probably couldn't say the same for, as his quality of life seems so low lately. But it does, the end of the story makes me sad. And you can go back to the 90s and like 93, 94. I believe it was 93 when he left WWE. He was pretty open because I read his books in college, and he was pretty open about the fact that he didn't want to leave WWF and he didn't want to go to WCW. And it was a money decision, but he's one of those guys that's pretty open about, I wish I didn't do this. I wish I just would have stayed. And that kind of makes me sad, you know, like, because I wish he would have stayed too.
Yeah.
And I wish that since he did leave, that he would have been happy with the decision. But like a lot of people who jumped ship to WCW, he wasn't. And, you know, I was glad that he came back for a cut. I mean, he wasn't on screen very much since WCW closed, and then his health went downhill. But, I wish he would have gotten more good years out of the Brain because he had a lot to offer. His wit was as sharp as they come, man.
I'm just glad they got him into the Hall of Fame when they did. He, even at that time, when he gave his induction speech, he wasn't looking like Bobby Heenan. And it only got worse.
Yeah, I don't consider that. That was the beginning of the downhill, I guess. But yeah, I'm glad that he was in there, and he seemed like a guy who, while he didn't love his time in WCW or he longed for his time in WWF, he seemed like he had a really good time in wrestling, and that makes me happy.
He absolutely loved it, and you're right. At the end of his life, it wasn't good anymore, and so there's relief that he's gone and can rest easy, and it's more of instead of a shock, it's more of a celebration of Bobby. And so it's sad, but at the same time, boy, how lucky were we that of all the times that you could be alive, you were alive while Bobby Heenan was doing wrestling.
I got to tell you, Jer, I mean, while that's true, I couldn't enjoy it the way that you did. As when I started watching wrestling, for the longest time, I was exclusively WWF, and he wasn't there. So I got some of the WCW years, but I've gone back and I've listened to so much of his work, and it's something
Dude,
else.
The best stuff, because I watch the show religiously every week, was Prime Time. Him and Gorilla on Prime Time, all the skits and the bits that they would do, that was a lot of fun. And, and I've been watching some of those. So.
I told you I'm going to start. Like I said, I'm going to start at TNT, and then I'm going to roll into Prime Time, and then I'm going to roll into Raw on the network. And I'm excited because the Prime Time and the TNT, all of it will be fresh for me. I've never seen it.
That's awesome. You're going to love it. It's a lot of fun. And kudos to the WWE. I thought they did a very good tribute to him last night, all night. I wish that I was starting to get a little impatient. I was like, when are they going to air the video package for him? I'm ready to see it.
Yeah, and it was also like it kind of did get a lot of mainstream, not a lot. Like, I mean, China got more and Randy Savage got more, but like when Randy Savage died or Ultimate Warrior or China, it was like everyone was coming up to me, even non-wrestling fans, like either saying, sorry, need to hear about Ultimate Warrior or whatever. And it was one of those days yesterday, like everyone's like, sorry about Bobby Heenan. And, I'm glad that people who either haven't watched wrestling in so long or even never did kind of did have an affinity for the guy.
Yeah, well, and there's a reason why not as many news organizations covered him dying as they did some of the other ones that you mentioned. There's no scandal attached. He was 73. He died at a relatively appropriate age if you look at the life expectancy averages, and he was sick. He didn't die of a drug overdose. He didn't kill his family. He didn't get in a car accident, and there's nothing you can tie to the business that would make it dirty. So less people, it's not as sexy to a lot of organizations.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe that is what it is, yeah. I don't exactly know. Or maybe it's because he wasn't a WWF champion or, a huge on-screen character. He was more of a voice. But either way, I think it's safe for us both to say we loved Bobby. We both seem to think he was the greatest manager in the history of the business. And boy, I haven't ranked my commentators, but it might be safe to say he's number one when it comes to that too.
Rest in peace, Weasel.
Will you stop?
Oh man, that video made me miss Gorilla too. So much.
Does it make you happy? Like, don't you think if there is a heaven and an afterlife and stuff like that, like they've got to have the biggest hug. It's got to be a hug that's still going on.
Yeah, I saw a picture and or someone had said something that made me a little teary. They said Gorilla's not waiting at the gates; he's waiting just behind the curtain.
A gorilla position of heaven.
Yep.
Yeah, and they did seem like, because God bless them, they seemed like they were best friends at all times. Like they never disliked each other. And
according to Bruce Pritchard, it sounds like they were.
Yeah. So
sorry about that derail, but I did want to mention that today.
That's the biggest news story of the week. That's something we should start the show with.
It really is. And then and then you get into Raw, and I'm interested to know what you think about Raw.
I thought it was average. It wasn't a bad show. It wasn't a great show. There were things that I liked, things that I didn't like. We can start at the top. I thought that everyone did a fine job with, the Angle, Miz, Jordan stuff, except for, well, I got to tell you that Jason Jordan kind of has that Roman Reigns thing going on where he's kryptonite. The microphone is his kryptonite.
He's not great. And Kurt Angle is making me nuts. I wish people would start hitting cues faster because he doesn't improvise. When he gets to the end of what he was going to say, he just stands there and stares at you until the next thing happens.
I didn't notice it as much last night, but I have noticed him doing stuff like that. It's kind of like the double E thing that, like, when someone points it out to you, it's all you can think about.
And he hasn't done it. Someone must have said something to him because he hasn't tried to even say double E.
I think, I forget, I made the note in a previous week. I can't remember, and I forgot to bring it up on the air, and I can't remember who I made it about, but I think it was Nia Jax. Also can't seem to say WWE.
She shouldn't be allowed to talk.
Exactly. But with Kurt, it's almost like his thing now. It's like, I want him to say it.
Most impactful stuff that happened on the show were like video packages. Heenan's video package, the hype video for Reigns and Cena, the hype video for Lesnar and Strowman. There were things that moved stuff forward, and I even liked Roman Reigns' promo a lot, but at the same time, the whole show didn't really do much.
My note about Reigns' promo was, my goodness, it's much easier for him to cut a promo when Cena's not in the building.
Yeah.
Because he did
a good job, I thought.
But when he knows that there's someone there who's going to pounce when the time is right, or that's going to counter what he has to say, he gets shaken in real life.
Yeah.
And that's understandable, but...
Did you notice he did it again? He said, I was like,
I was going to text you.
We got all the way through the promo, and I was like, he didn't say the B word, and then he mouthed it. And I was like, that counts. You did it again.
No, he definitely said the B word.
He said the S word, but then he says the B word, but it's not.
He said the S word and the B word.
I heard the B word at the end, but it was like mouthed.
I'm telling you, it went out over the mic. Someone on the post show backed me up about this, because I was going to text you and say you were absolutely right, because we had like an unofficial bet. I didn't want to take you up on it, but he did say, I'm almost positive he said the B word in the promo.
Oh, he definitely wanted to get it out there. I'm telling you, that's how he gets his heat now.
But
he Roman, I swear, Reigns.
Well, but what was great was he said it like 5 minutes after Brock just said it. I loved that, because Brock's like, Suplex City, bitch. He gets all close to the camera, and then the next segment is Roman Reigns cutting his promo, and he's doing his thing, and the whole cherry on his promo, on his ice cream sundae promo, is, and guess what? You're out there in Hollywood, and I'm here every week. So, like,
by the way, that's my review of the Braun Strowman Brock Lesnar thing. Ready? This is it. This. The whole thing. Like, back up, Braun. Could you back up a little bit?
Well, hold on, because now I'm Brock Lesnar, and I'm gonna take you to Suplex City.
They look like my mom trying to FaceTime with the kids. They didn't know how to do it. Where's the camera? Where is this thing? How do you do this stuff? Can you see me?
Siri, get me on FaceTime.
Can you see me? Kids, can you hear me?
That's funny. That's great. So, like, what's funny is, like, how the guys have to get used to have to get permission back in the day to get color, to bleed.
Yeah.
It's like, they do it to make sure, like, you don't want two people to doing it in one night. It could be, too much, or, they have to get this stuff paced out properly. It's for the same thing. It's like, that's why, because, if two guys bled in back-to-back matches, it would lose its impact. That's why two guys using the B word back-to-back, it loses its impact.
I just love, and I couldn't stop laughing, because it was before Roman drops the B. Because we talked about it. Like, he gets his heat because he thinks he's tough now because he's going to swear, and that's how he gets his cheers. So he's on to something. So now he comes out, and the first, word number 6 was the S word. And I was like, holy cow, what's he going to do? Where's he going to go from here? F? Maybe drop a C-bomb by the end. Who knows what he's going to do?
By the way, you can tell that the promo was written that way because did you hear how tight that beep was? Like,
I know.
Well, I mean, but it was so tight that they knew it was coming. You know what I mean? So they were able to catch it as he was saying it, as opposed to dumping out 7 seconds or whatever. You know what I mean? So they knew in the truck it was coming, is my point.
Oh, yeah, of course they did. Somebody said to him what I said last week, and it's not a terrible idea. Roman Reigns, you need to be edgier. That's it. You need to drop some colorful terms. Yeah.
Today it's going to be the S word and the B word.
I can't wait to predict this match, by the way. I can't wait to predict these matches.
This predictions episode on Thursday, which, by the way, I do have a road show Thursday, but I should be able to do it just a little late, like not even in like an hour late, I don't think.
Okay.
But I'll give you more details on Thursday. But I'm so excited for Thursday's episode because it's a card I'm excited about. We were talking about that earlier today, and that there's 2 matches I'm hyped as all hell for.
I guess you could call them co-main events. It feels like it.
Yeah, I think the main event is Strowman and Brock, and then but the second semi-main, I would say is Roman and Cena. And I'm all hyped about that too. And then we're kind of talking about the undercard. It's kind of coming together. Look at this.
It really looks good. I mean, you've got Finn and Bray Wyatt, and I really like what they did in telling that story with Goldust. I thought that was pretty interesting. You've got the tag title match. You've got a cruiserweight championship match that I actually care about.
Right. And Enzo, by the way, is as visible as he's ever been. So at this point, it's still kind of been a lateral move.
Is it a burial, though? Was that like, I mean, I got to ask you, Rob, he comes out and he gets destroyed by Braun Strowman. Is this a rib?
Well,
It feels like a rib. It feels like they're just monkeying with him.
I feel like this was kind of where he left off with Cass. I mean, it used to be Cass leaving him like that when Cass was still around. So,
and then the announcers are all like, there's no such thing as a heel announcer when it comes to Enzo. They're all like, good. Booker T said good for him. I was like, whoa, Booker, holy smokes, pull it back a little bit. You clearly don't like the kid. And the other comment that I was going to have was, did you hear that the crowd was not behind Enzo last night?
I don't remember that specifically, but I mean, I can believe you.
They booed him, and then when Strowman was kicking his butt, they were chanting, "Thank you, Strowman."
I got to tell you, Enzo has never been more over in his life than when he was in Evansville, because every shirt I saw was Enzo. His pop was humongous, and that's where the turn happened. I just feel like his high watermark was right here in Evansville.
That was a huge show if you really look at it.
Mm-hmm. It was a good Raw. I can't believe it took place in Evansville. I was really happy with it.
Because that was the big turn, but then there was a couple other things that happened that night, I think.
Yeah, Strowman returned in the ambulance. You had a killer match with Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns. There was the turn with Enzo and Cass. Oh, there was a great the Miz Taraj formed there.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, with the teddy bears and stuff, and it was a lot of fun.
People went from no Bo Dallas to all the Bo Dallas that night.
Yes, that's true. We had like 3 Bo segments, and then one that you didn't see off the air because our dark match was Miz versus Ambrose, and the Miz Taraj was all over that. Miz does great work. Miz doesn't miss. That's another one tough to predict on Sunday. What's going to happen with the IC title? Like I said, I've got a lot of thinking to do before Thursday, man.
The only match I could give a poop about is the women's match. Why can't they just have a women's match one-on-one? Why does it have to be now it's a 5-way? Dude, they crowbarred Bailey in at the last second.
I think they're temporarily giving up on it because I think that they want to put their focus back on it when Asuka debuts, which makes sense because she's insanely good. So you had Bailey gone. So I just feel like they're kind of like when it comes to the women's division on Raw right now. It is at an all-time low. It's a sad state, I think, on both shows.
Yeah.
So hashtag Divas Revolution, right, guys? Hashtag it. Divas Revolution.
Emma started it.
Emma started it.
Emma started it.
What else? I took a few. Is there anything else that I really want to mention from the show?
I don't know. The mini Shield is not doing it for me.
Yeah, the tag division. I don't know. I was bored with it last night. I was up making dinner during the match. I heard it got a "This is awesome" chant, and it definitely got a lot of time. Was it something I need to go back and see? I can't imagine it is.
No, it was fine. It was good. It was good. I thought the match of the night was the 6-pack challenge. Like that was a fun match. The way they did it, I thought was good.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll just say, while maybe last night was the worst example since SummerSlam, I will give Raw kudos for over the past 5 weeks. I think it was maybe 4, but I think it was 5, getting me excited for No Mercy. Kudos, and that's just what I want to say. That's my last thought. I'm excited for Thursday. Don't know who's going to win a lot of these matches. I've got thoughts. I'm sure you do too. Some I still have to sit and think about, but this is what I want out of wrestling month to month, is make me excited for the big shows.
I'm more excited for this show on a match-by-match basis than I was for WrestleMania. Now, for WrestleMania, I was more excited for the event. Sure, you get excited
Correct.
for SummerSlam because it's an event. But the last actual pay-per-view that I was this excited for was probably the Royal Rumble, and that's because it's got the Royal Rumble in it, and I just love that style of match.
Well, I can think of one. Great Balls of Fire had a great build too. It under-delivered once it was showtime, but the build, I was excited for Great Balls of Fire.
Did it? I thought that main event was amazing.
Well, yeah.
No. I'm thinking of the wrong one. Aren't I?
Great Balls of Fire's main event was Brock and Joe.
Yep. See, I mixed that up with SummerSlam's main event. SummerSlam's main event was amazing. Brock and Joe I thought was good, but it wasn't great.
I was really disappointed with the finish of that match. But Enzo and Cass had their feud going into that one. You had the ambulance match with Strowman and Reigns. I don't know. Like I said, it didn't deliver come showtime, sadly. It wasn't an awful show, but the hype, that build was fantastic. And that's the way I'm going to describe this show too. So while I take them to task when it sucks, I want to praise them when it is good. And I think we can all agree on that.
Do you think Vince McMahon's going to be there tonight?
Great question. Going to go with a no.
Probably a no.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect out tonight. What have they been hyping? What is it? Is it AJ and Corbin?
AJ and Corbin, and then Shane's going to respond to the attack on his father.
Sweet. AJ and Corbin, they're wrestling, right? Like they're having a match?
It's the United States Championship Open. It's already been accepted, and they're fighting for the U.S. title tonight.
I don't know what makes a U.S. title open when we know who's going to be in the match going into it every week. Nothing
open about this.
Yeah.
And when Cena did it, it was more organic, and I like the way it was used better. AJ doing it, it's kind of been a schmozzy. Every week it's been a schmoz.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Jarrett, thanks for your input today. It was great talking about Bobby Heenan. Raw, we gave it the appropriate amount. There wasn't a whole lot to talk about from Raw last night, to be honest. No. Scheduled for the rest of the week. Tomorrow, we've got SmackDown recap. And then Thursday might be a smidge late. I don't think it should be too late on Thursday, but we're going to get to the highly anticipated predictions episode. It's been many, many weeks, I believe 5, since our last predictions episode, and I can't remember one that's been this hard to call. So make sure you watch Thursday's episode too. Feel free to talk about Raw on the post show or about Bobby Heenan, because God knows there's plenty of Bobby Heenan stuff. A friend in need is a pest. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm a pest because Jerry Valeri has always been there when I'm in need.
Yeah, ham and egger.
You stick with me, you go to the top. Humanoids.
Rest in peace, Bobby.